If I told you 3 years ago that a homemade Jeera lemon recipe would take on Coca-Cola and Pepsi in India's 10,000 crore packaged juice market, you'd probably laugh on my face. Today, they run one of India's fastest growing beverage companies in India, which makes more than 500 crores in revenue. But these numbers are only possible because Lahori Zeera knows something that very few beverage companies do about disrupting established markets. The more we looked into this company, the more we realized that this was not just a lucky kitchen experiment. This was a masterclass in how to build the perfect consumer brand. If you're new to this channel, then hello, you've landed at GrowthX. We're a community of 4,000 plus business nerds at this point. Our members are product, marketing and growth leaders from India's top tech companies. And we're also now glad to be a part of the 01 network by Zerodha. First off, why did we pick Lahori Zeera as a topic? Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves, honestly. Lahori Zeera currently sits at 525 crores in revenue and their drinks are stocked in over 5 lakh stores nationwide. This makes them a direct challenger to giants like Dabur, ITC, Coca-Cola and more who've dominated the space for decades literally. But here's what makes this truly impossible. They did it while competing against companies that literally spend more on marketing in a single quarter than Lahori Zeera's entire annual revenue. See, the truth is, even for established beverage giants, breaking into new market segments is incredibly difficult. Most startups fail because they can't solve this fundamental problem, which is how do you get consumers to switch from brands they've trusted for decades to your new brand? See, Lahori Zeera's goal was simple. Don't just compete. Create an entirely new category. It's easier said than done. But that takes us to step 1. It's pretty much impossible to disrupt a mature market if you can't get consumers to fundamentally change their buying behavior. And that's why successful disruptors place so much emphasis on category creation. See, the goal is to make your product feel inevitable and not just like another choice, but the obvious choice. So, how does Lahori Zeera do this? See, for most beverage companies, success means chasing premium international trends or copying established formulas. But trust me, this is incredibly difficult to pull off when competing against multinational giants with billion-dollar marketing and product budgets. However, in Lahori Zeera's case, they truly cracked what we call the Desi white space formula, which allowed them to carve out their own category in the market. So, what is their secret? See, Lahori Zeera didn't just launch another drink. They commercialized a homemade remedy that millions of Indians already trusted. And trusted is the operative word here. Their Jeera lemon soda combines traditional ingredients with specific functional benefits. So, cumin for digestion, black salt to replenish electrolytes, lemon for a vitamin C boost. It's essentially your grandma's go-to digestive fix, but now packaged and branded in a Lahori Zeera bottle. Now, within seconds of hearing about the product, consumers immediately understood its value proposition. Now take Coca-Cola's strategy for example, which was to build aspiration and this vibe around the Coke. See, it's great, but it took decades and billions in marketing spends to establish that emotional brand connection with India's consumers. Now, why does this matter? See, the truth is, even for a market as large as India, a huge percentage of potential consumers are price sensitive and they're not brand loyal. They don't have money for premium positioning and they want functional value delivered immediately. See, Lahori Zeera priced their 160ml bottle at just 10 rupees, making it 20% cheaper than the famous thumbs up. Now, this I know might sound simple and come across as an easy positioning thing, but is a perfect example of great price positioning. The results speak for themselves. 90% of Lahori Zeera's sales come from their offline channels, which are general trade and modern retail. Their target is not Gen Zs and quick commerce users like you and me in metro cities, but rather they want to go after the mature, old school Indian consumer who shops at DMart and their local kirana stores. And to really capture this pan-India market, they also go beyond their Jeera recipe and they've now created a 12-flavor lineup which is tailored to different regions' preferences. Shikanji for North India, Kacham in the West. What ends up happening with this is regional customization makes the brand feel local everywhere. Now, this is very similar if you think about it with what Namma Yatri is trying to do. They're called Namma Yatri in Bangalore, but Yatri Sathi in Kolkata. It makes the app feel local in these cities, and that's how it works so well. This also keeps consumers engaged and stops the brand from feeling too generic. See, it starts with core flavors, and then as time goes by, the excitement starts to build. The way this anticipation is created through limited releases is damn smart, by the way. Consumers never know what's coming next, which creates a reason for them to keep trying new variants from the same company. Now, there are plenty of beverage companies out there that have great products and positioning, but no one ever tries them because they fail at the most important hurdle, which is distribution. This is mega important and the most unsexy part. See, a huge part of any consumer brand success is consistently getting distribution and logistic equations right. So, what's so special in the Lahori Zeera approach? Now, before we get into that, if you've been liking this video, you will love our newsletter. It's free and subscribed by over 150,000 founders and growth leaders. We recently published an edition with Dilip Kumar, the VC behind Rain Matter by Zerodha, on what is the real health opportunity in India. You can check it out with the link in the description. Okay, let's get to Lahori Zeera's distribution insight. See, simplicity is key here. Instead of fighting for prime shelf space in urban retail chains like JioMart, they focus intensely on Kirana stores, which is the heart of Bharat. You already know lots of other beverage companies will have created some expensive urban first strategy, but not Lahori Zeera. A good distribution model says what it needs to in the fewest touch points as possible. It's worked for them. So in 5 years, they've managed to place their products in over 5 lakh stores, which are mostly in rural areas, without a single celebrity endorsement done by them. This was obviously inspired by how FMCG giants have already done it, but it works very well for Lahori Zeera. Now, what's even more genius is their financial model. See, the first thing we think is really smart is how they've structured their distributor payments. Now, Lahori Zeera implemented 100% upfront payment, which appeals to two separate needs. It solves for their cash flow, and it also motivates distribution partners. How? Because they are now pushing stock that they've already paid for. And there's also the case of 40% GST on beverages, which is a profit killer for most brands. But Lahori Zeera has a negative working capital model because distributors are already paying in advance. So Lahori Zeera has cash on their hand before they even have to produce a single bottle of Lahori Zeera. Let's be real. All this is important, but plenty of other companies could do similar financing. But what's extremely difficult to replicate is the logistics innovation that they have done. For shipping, they've leveraged Indian Railways refrigerated wagons, slashing transport costs by 40% compared to road transport. They also solved their cold chain problem with a very interesting hack. They provided free branded refrigerators to Kirana stores with one simple condition: keep my drinks at 4 degrees or you lose the fridge. This instantly ensured properly chilled products while also securing prime visibility for their brand. So Lahori Zeera's strategy combines great operational efficiency with their competitive advantage as a high volume and a low margin business. But here's where we encounter the next challenge: the marketing and advertising challenge. See, one of the most proven ways to build brand loyalty is through authentic storytelling. And everyone knows that Indian consumers genuinely respond to great cultural connection. See, most beverage companies spend millions on celebrity endorsements and glossy national campaigns. In fact, companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi routinely are known to spend upwards of 15% of their revenue on marketing. On the other side, however, Lahori Zeera has built an incredible brand without a single mainstream celebrity campaign. So, how did they do it? They understood that authentic consumer stories are far more powerful than polished advertisements. Instead of pursuing expensive Bollywood stars, they went for hyper-local regional influencers. Now, these creators didn't just advertise their product, they wove it into their content, which is extremely relevant culturally. This actually connected their brand to deeply personal memories rather than shallow celebrity ads. So by combining user-generated content, regional storytelling, and selling on the grassroots level, Lahori Zeera built a brand connection that multinational companies could not do, even by spending billions trying to achieve it. So there you have it, the 3 factors that went into making Lahori Zeera into a 525 crore beverage empire. Now let me quickly summarize the 3 factors that we've learned today. First, we saw how Lahori Zeera identified the perfect Desi white space with the right 10 rupees price positioning for them. Second, we learned how they built a smart distribution and production muscle. And finally, we saw how they leveraged user-generated content to crack marketing and build the right audience distribution for them. That is it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one.